Year Rape, Year Problem states for every 100 rapes in the United States, only 8 rapists will be prosecuted, and of those 8, only 3 will spend even a single day in prison. My focus for this video will be why our criminal justice system is failing our sexual assault cases and how we can fix it. According to Fraser, there are 4 factors the system considers before taking on sexual assault cases. The first factor being how much evidence they have and if there was a witness involved. The second factor being, was there a weapon involved in the situation, and if so, what kind? The third is credibility. They want to know if the victim knew the suspect. And lastly, the characteristics involved. What color is the person? The first factor, which is lack of evidence, has to do with the 2 types of sexual assaults that the system likes to look at. According to Johnson, the reason these cases fail is because they look at the cases, which is type 1 and type 2. Unfortunately, as a rare type 2 case, they are the ones that are to assure trial. These cases are the type when a weapon is involved. The reason they can assure a victim a trial or a voice is because it's easier to stick a weapon to a person rather than type 1, which is bruises that may go away or injuries that may heal before they are even sent to a courtroom. Lack of evidence also plays into the fact that there are money issues in the system when it comes to rape kits. Taylor McCovey, it would cost the state of Washington $3 million in order to process rape kits, investigate, and prosecute cases. Joshua New states the criminal justice system is a failure. New also found that at least 50 major police departments have never even inventoried their untested kits, which causes problems because when you have a case at hand and you can't locate those kits that you need for your case, there's that lack of evidence that is at fault. This lack of tracking has caused serious problems for sexual assault survivors seeking justice. For example, in Detroit in 2009, investigators found 11,000 untested rape kits in an abandoned police storage facility. And in Memphis, the police department simply lost rape kits before they could even be tested. Sometimes victims speak up, they don't have solid evidence. Another issue with lack of evidence is by the time victims decide to speak up, their evidence is demolished because with rape, the main evidence at hand is their clothes, their body at the time, because we need those rape kits, and what they look like during that time frame. BPD and other cities not only routinely misconduct report of sexual assault as unfounded, but also downgrade reports to lesser crimes and even avoid creating a written record of report altogether. As a result, Baltimore Police Department and other police departments did not have to report these cases to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, constantly potentially over 1 million rape cases to go away. Another reason our system is failing us when it comes to justice for sexual assault cases is the statute of limitation. This sets a maximum time that both parties have to initiate legal proceedings. For example, a victim, Gwen Williams, finally found the courage to speak out against her assailant, but was not given that chance due to the statute of limitations. Again, the statute of limitations puts a time-ticking limit on when they have a certain time to report the crime from which the crime takes place to report it for it to hold up in court. During Williams' time, the limitation was 9 years, but according to the updated time, it is now changed to 5 years. At age 14, she was assaulted by family, and as time slowly went by, she finally reported it in 2014. But because of how long it had been, there had been no justice, leaving her to feel humiliated. An issue that ties in with the statute of limitation and rape kits, it has been stated that new states have destroyed untested rape kits before the statute of limitation has expired because there's no room for them, or they just don't get tested because it's so much money that, again, no justice. Only 230 out of every 1,000 sexual assaults are reported to police. That means about 3 out of 4 go unreported. So imagine how many cases don't make it because of the statute of limitation. The reason many victims have stated that they don't feel comfortable enough to speak out is because lack of sensitivity in the system, or simply being that they have spoken out against their assailant and due to lack of training with cops and lack of training with nurses that they go to for rape kits, they feel they are degraded. They get more tested like they are a assailant. They get degraded. Right away, police officers ask for their phones, their laptops, any proof that they have that this has happened. A lot of the times, because there are untrained police officers that have to deal with sexual assault cases, the victim will feel the need to just walk away. Also being the fact that there's a lot of mental health issues that go on with the mindset of the victims. They already feel that they themselves are the reason to blame for what had happened to them. Therefore, so when you have somebody who's untrained in this particular department, who doesn't really know how to talk to you, you just are made to feel more guilty than you were before you had spoken to somebody. In conclusion, it all comes down to how can we change this and promise a better outcome for our sexual assault victims. Would it be better to have these cases in a courtroom versus a conference room? And what could we do to help all of these reasonings, lack of evidence, bias in gender, have a different view and a better outcome? It all comes down to how we can change this and promise a better outcome for our sexual assault victims and cases. There's a research going on about whether the courtroom or conference room is better to handle these cases. According to one of my studies, New Zealand and South Australia are two places that use conference room to handle sexual assault cases. The reason being is because they're said to be too serious or too sensitive. Rather than putting a victim through the embarrassment of way too many people in a courtroom, put them in a conference room with less people. It may be less stressful for the victim to go through with the case or to deal with their assailant and getting justice. However, this could give offenders the idea that this isn't a big deal, or those who view cases like so can say, well, it's not going to a courtroom, so they must not really care. This also goes into depth about whether it strips away the victim's power and privacy. Would they feel they are powerful in a courtroom more so to have a voice and to speak up against their assailant? There's also a huge idea around the fact that sexual assault perpetrators aren't seen as any regular criminal. There's this huge idea that our DA, our district attorneys, see those perpetrators as just lower class people. So if we raise awareness, the statute of limitations will have nothing against our rape victims and our sexual assault victims due to the fact that they feel comfortable enough to speak up and use their voices that they feel the criminal justice system strips away, simply by the fact that the criminal justice system looks at these victims as if they're somebody who did wrong. And we need to train a lot more people. Due to lack of awareness, there's a huge movement right now called the Me Too movement. It's a movement to empower sexual assault victims and rape case victims to help each other feel they are given a voice. This is an outlet for those victims, and it's time for change. Also, it's not just victims we don't know, but it also gives the opportunity for celebrities to step out of their shell, to step from behind their mic, and say that they have been a victim too. This needs to change. We need change.